My name's Amanda. Frankly, I'm kind of surprised that they let me speak in front of people. What I do is kind of interesting. I help mostly nonprofits, specifically enterprise-level nonprofits, and small businesses communicate with people better. And sometimes that means internal and external processes, but at least 95% of the time, it involves WordPress. I totally don't get any money from them or anything like that. But I just have this very deep interest in seeing nonprofits succeed. And I think one of the main problems that I see with nonprofits, and I've been in the 501c3 world since I was 8 years old, is a lack of executive level advice being given to nonprofits.
Are you a nonprofit?
I am the nonprofit. No, come in. In another minute, people who join late will have to sing or rap or something like that, but you're good for now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so do me a favor. Stand up if you are a nonprofit using WordPress. No, see, stand up actually means out of the seat. But that was good. You all get it. There's no sentences here. Okay. Stand up if you're a nonprofit who's considering using WordPress. You're here because you need the solid argument. Okay, what the hell are the rest of you people doing here? Why are you here if you didn't stand up? You work with nonprofits. Yes. So basically, you want to do my job better than I do. That's cool. Okay. I wanted to sort of do this a little bit looser than what most people do, and really not get into giving you. Oh, let's see if I can even figure out. There we go. Let's see if we can even. I wanted to tailor it a little bit more to you guys and what your experiential needs are. Yeah, people say that sometimes. Okay, so of the people here who are from nonprofits, which of you raise your hand if you're from a nonprofit? What does your nonprofit do?
We're the Film Society at Lincoln Center, and we do film programming year-round.
Okay, somebody else?
Okay, church.
Your church?
Religious institution.
Religious institution? Synagogue? School?
Internet society.
Internet society. So here's what I'm hearing. None of you are nonprofits of web developers. Would that be accurate? Just checking.
Internet society.
You're not helping me, okay? Just behind the camera. Thank you. All right. I am such a bleeding heart. I think that nonprofits all have jobs, and none of them are website maintenance. So for those people, you yourself, why are you here? What sucks about website management at your film, whatever, society?
Well, though I use WordPress, I've been there for about a year, and I've used WordPress. I brought WordPress to the Film Society. Our main website has no content management system whatsoever.
Excellent point. Let's write that down. You, sir, what sucks about website management at your agency?
Well, the fact that I have to do it.
That alone is an excellent point. What sucks about having to do it?
I basically have another job that I normally do. I'm the office manager. So.
I'm about to let you know now, people are graced with many talents. Football was never one of mine. So I'm going to throw it in your general direction, and if it lands somewhere else, you can fight him for it. Or her, whatever. I'm working on it. All right, so what else? What else sucks about website management at a nonprofit?
Creating it.
You really totally don't need to raise your hand. Yelling at me is totally acceptable.
Built on something that nobody knows how to use anymore.
Oh, I love that.
What is
Proprietary, and I also come from 5 generations of doctors, so this handwriting is totally genetic at this point. All right, what else? What else sucks?
Well, right now we're using like 5 different types of web features. Like we have a calendar that's from one place.
I'm so gonna hurt you with this. Okay, so you're using 5 different types of
different directions of different kind of programs to make it work.
Okay, so you're talking like a Flickr integrated with something else, with something else, with something else. I'm so sorry. If I've hurt anybody, I'm sure there's an insurance policy covering us. Okay. Okay, so these are all. Pardon me? Oh, I'm not getting candy back to you. Are you kidding me? Relay. Yeah, fair enough. Relay. Here, pass the candy. Let's see if it makes it there. All right, so these are all really, really excellent points. Let's see if any of it gets there. So let's start with the basics up here, right? CMS. Everybody here know what a CMS is?
Content management.
Let's go a different direction here. Be brave because there are rewards. Stand up if you don't know what a CMS is. I'll actually walk the candy over to you. Really? Oh, that's kind of awesome. All right. So anybody here need to be convinced of why they need to use a content management system? Raise your hand if you are working for a company, agency, individual that shall not be named who is not using a content management system. Are you that person? I at least admire your honesty. That was kind of awesome. I'm so sorry.
I thought you said just gonna walk.
All right, so obviously we all want to be, this is the police obviously. Hi. We all want to be using content management systems for all the reasons that you completely expect. Because obviously when it comes to workflow, everything that the woman before me mentioned, everything that everyone has mentioned in every single other room. And if I don't have to convince you, all the better. So let's talk. I'm going to be the person who actually does this here today. And you can now all start twittering about how horrible and unbelievable it is. Let's talk about some of the content management systems, shall we? All right. So the question that I usually get, particularly from nonprofits, is we've invested all this money into proprietary content management systems, or we don't know what we want to switch to. There are all these different ones. My cousin Mervyn says that we should use Joomla. Somebody else says that we should use Drupal, whatever. Let me put it this way. I'm not saying that WordPress is the end-all be-all. It's pretty awesome sauce. But I will tell you this. What I'm looking for in a content management system is a good balance between ease of use for the person who's got to develop the sucker and ease of use for me to train the person that's got to use it on the other end. I think Joomla, okay, here it comes. Get your phones out. Doesn't work. And I think Drupal is great for developers, but really hard to train people in. I think WordPress really has that magic equilibrium of pretty decently easy to develop. I mean, you can't swing a cat without eating a WordPress developer, although in deference to the animal societies here today, you probably shouldn't swing cats. But I also think it's pretty easy to train people how to use WordPress if they just stop with the massive development. It's getting to the point where it's becoming a little overwrought to train people in. You can do without the image editing. So that's one of the reasons that I personally love WordPress. And in the last couple of iterations, we've seen some really interesting developments in terms of the portability of posts and the magic and wonder that is plugins that are allowing all of this advanced functionality. So pretty much, I didn't get an eraser. Okay. Pretty much everything that is awesome about WordPress for content management systems. Maybe I need a secretary. Can somebody be a secretary with far better handwriting than me? There's Candy. Fabulous, you win. There you go. Everything can be divided into functional and marketing. Here you go, just a steady stream of chocolate. It's really pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty pathetic. Okay, so let's talk about the functional benefits of using WordPress. Could you do like a, I'm looking for more of a, that's lovely, thank you. All right, what is your name?
Kia.
We should clap for Kia, right? We should clap. Or we should clap to make fun of this woman who's coming in late. Hi, puppies. Yes. Oh, yes. Let's look at another puppy, shall we? You can really never have too many puppies. Somebody remind me to keep forwarding through the puppies, will ya? Okay, so under functional, let's tackle issue, and here's the main problem with all these content management systems and convincing people to switch to them. Nonprofits have this assemblage of people who have been given responsibility, often for no other reason than they come from a particular well-bred background. We call them your board of directors. They have opinions. Unfortunately, they count. And they often have to be convinced of these things in order to move forward. So how do we convince them, give them a convincing argument that your organization needs to be on WordPress? Let's start with the overwhelmingly most positive thing about WordPress, the cost. Let's make that number one under functional. And the cost of WordPress is? I'm totally not throwing candy at everyone, but that was awesome. How can you beat free, right? And let's talk about the development cost, because that's the second thing I was talking about with nonprofits. It's not that it comes out of the box awesome. Usually there's some development, there's something out there, but look, nepotism is a major issue in nonprofits. If you're gonna hire your cousin Mervyn anyways, it might as well be on a development process that somebody else is gonna be able to take over. that there's a ton of support for, that there's something where it can go someplace in the future. So, really, writing Mervin? Okay, that's cool. Okay. You're doing a very good job. I really appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about number 2. The fact that WordPress is scalable, okay? This is a really important thing for nonprofits. Think of, this frustrates me to no end. Think of all the funds of all the nonprofits in the world and what they have spent, not only in hard costs, paying for nonprofits, but actually the time of the CEO finding that person, vetting that person, commanding people to update the website. I mean, when I think about it, taking time away from these really valuable things that they really ought to be doing, that frustrates me to no end. So, the nice thing about WordPress to me is that you can start small and grow with the website. It's not going to be this thing where in another 2 years you need to make another big change, where you need to switch to another platform. And while we're on it, how awesome is it that WordPress updates every 45 to 47 minutes? And the good part of that is that they catch every security update. It's like the kid in the middle of the room picking his nose and everybody points at him, oh my God, look at what he did. So, I mean, they catch security updates. Oh, pardon me?
Puppy.
Puppy, oh, Puppy, right. Dude, how much is Puppy? Pardon me? Perhaps you will see one of my puppies. Perhaps. But no, actually, I would never. Well, actually, that's not true. I would totally do that to my dog. And she would look like that when I did it. Like, what the hell? Okay, so the whole point is, the nice thing about WordPress is the data is stored in there. That's the whole point of a content management system, right? And then as you grow, you add more data, but you never have to start over. You can change the themes, you can add and delete plugins, but you're never going to have to start over. This is a big deal. And my experience level with nonprofits is I work everything from the Pratt Area Humane Society to Red Cross and IFA at a national and international level. Yeah, that sounded really impressive, isn't it? It's totally not. But you get freedom. And when I talk about freedom, software as a service, logging in from any computer with the internet, I want you to think about it in these terms. What a pisser it is to get volunteers to come into the office. So that's number 1, right? Number 2 is, if you're in a field in Louisiana and you would like to let people know about what's going on, it's going to be hard to do so when your computer is under 7 inches of water. So using software as a service allows you to log in from any computer internet connection. The point is, you can be out at the field. So when I do Red Cross at a national level, and then I also work for my chapter, and when we're at a fire or at an exercise, we're posting away. We're letting people know. We're strengthening that relationship with our constituents. At least we've led ourselves to believe so. Staff turnover a problem for anybody in a nonprofit? So there's a saying about volunteers that goes a little like this. It's not kind, but neither am I. Volunteers are often volunteers because there's no other place for them. And it takes a lot of time and energy to train them, which makes them kind of a pain in our ass at the same time that they're fabulous. If you are working with something that has the adoption rate that WordPress has, then you don't have to worry as much about volunteer training because there's a darn good chance they already know how to use it. And I'm unconvinced that WordPress is any more difficult than, MS Word. So I think you cut out a lot of that training curve, which is really important. Let's just call it training curve. All right, people finding you, this is kind of important. Let's give you an example. Let's say there's a tornado in Kansas. And people are hearing on the news about puppies stranded, on rafts in the middle of, whatever. How do people find you? They find you through SEO, search engine optimization. Bobblehead me that you know what search engine optimization is on a basic level, right? That was pretty good. All right, we could be a group. Okay. WordPress has pretty decent SEO without you really doing a whole hell of a lot. And there are all these plugins that you can add into it to get yet even better SEO. But if you start from scratch with HTML, there's a lot of work that you would have to do to even get to the level of a basic SEO installation. And while we're on it, let's talk about Section 508 compliancy. By default, most WordPress installations, all the default themes are Section 508 compliant. Do we all know what Section 508 compliancy is? No. That was excellent. See, when I'm looking for no, I'm looking for a fully fledged, okay. So Section 508 compliancy is this arcane federal law that applies to federal agencies and things like that. that basically makes your site accessible to things like screen readers and disabled people. Now, when I'm putting together a site for, say, a gallery, I don't worry about it so much. But if you're a 501c3, I mean, it's basic best practices anyways. But if you're 501c3, this should be a consideration that you're making. Now, when you get into things like theming, you start to run into issues because part of Section 508 compliancy also has to do with the visibility of a font against a background and think, no, it's cool, come on in. He bites, but she's okay. Okay. Hello. Word is spreading, right? Yeah, okay. So you want to be careful with themes when it comes to 508 compliancy, and there are websites you can go to actually test your compliancy. And there actually is a website that I pulled up, WP508.com. Thank you very much. Isn't she great? Just guys. Yeah. So WP508 lists a whole bunch of themes that are 508 compliant. Okay, so I have this weird opinion that websites don't exist because they're just so freaking awesome and everybody desperately wants one. Every single website that we put on the web exists to sell something. And whether it's a personal blog and you're selling an opinion, or it's a restaurant selling reservations, or it's a bath place selling soap, you as a nonprofit are selling a cause. And the point of that cause is to get, and that's a very tough wall for most nonprofits when it comes to websites. Dealing with setting up merchant gateways, things like that. I mean, like literally they make nonprofits eat themselves a little. It's just a whole lot to deal with. So I think one of the great things about WordPress is it gives you sort of a seamless integration. You really don't even have to go all the way to like a shop or a WP e-commerce. You really can just go as simple as PayPal or Google checkout buttons. And it's a pretty simple integration. Pretty cool. But to me, that's a really big deal, is getting people to the donations very, very quickly. One of the other big things I always run into, I mean, when I talk about like roadblocks and walls in terms of websites, the other big one is always going to be forms, right? Forms are a bitch. Boy, I'm just not the nicest person that can stand up here. But again, I mean, and I'll name names, I happen to love C-Forms too. I think it's like the most awesome form builder and totally dynamic, and I can teach people how to use it, and you create these on-the-fly, super dynamic, amazing, awesome, rock this bitch forms. It's a plugin.
And they update every month.
Yes, they update every 49 minutes, just to keep up. It's called C-Forms 2, C the letter, Forms 2, and that's like a, you know, the strange 2 that looks like the II, just to throw you off.
Yeah.
What?
Thank you so much. Okay, so in terms of plugins, love C-Forms. And it's very, very easy to use. You can send dynamic forms to whomever you want, multiple people, do an upload, do whatever you need to do. You can also do polls really easy in WordPress. And here's my favorite part about it, is the #1 reason websites, all websites, it doesn't matter if it's for your nonprofit, your business, your blog, whatever, suck, is maintenance. Maintenance sucks. It inherently sucks. It inherently sucks that you have to remember to go back to your website and update it, post a blog post about something you really inherently don't care that much about, just put new content on it. People talk about content is king. I don't think that's true. I think relationships are king. So you want to strengthen those relationships by constantly evolving what's on your website. And the beauty to me of WordPress for nonprofits are the user levels, because you can assign these user levels to your volunteers so they can't, you know, screw it up. And you can delegate to them to remotely from wherever they are, their home, their office, Uzbekistan, whatever, to do the updates, to write the blog posts, to write the content, and then they don't have the power to publish it. So you can publish it for them. And you're delegating and spreading out the workload. And I mean, look, volunteers love responsibility more than anything else. So you've basically given them, you know, backroom access, and you've taken some of the work away from yourself without having to hold somebody's hand, because we all love holding volunteers' hands. It's awesome. Okay, so basically we have this like massive list under functional, right? That should tell you something, because to me, even though I went to a ridiculously expensive art school that totally wasn't worth it, the majority of a website is functional, and it should be. In terms of marketing, the SEO was a really good point. I'm so happy you caught that. That was awesome. But I will tell you the other thing that makes it great for marketing is the fact that you can very easily change themes. Because here's the other part of nonprofit websites. Somebody comes in and says, I'm so ready to help you save gerbils. And I am all about saving gerbils with you, and I will give you all of my time to help you save gerbils. And 3 months later, you're like, hey, dude, what happened to the guy with the gerbils? Has anybody seen him? Did he like fall off the earth? People coming back. And somebody new comes in and says, great, I will totally help you save gerbils, but we gotta do it my way, and this design is terrible, and the previous guy had no idea what he was talking about, and we gotta start over. And of course, you by now are ready to like shoot yourself in the head. So it's really as easy as changing a theme. And now you have a brand new website, but you haven't had to do anything with the data. The data's still there. These themes are like ridiculously powerful. And you can swap out the plugins, so you change functionality really easily. So I mean, it as long as you toe the line as your ED, that no, we're on WordPress, this is what it is, but you can change a theme, you really have a pretty portable system. Totally nobody's even noticing. It's totally cool. So here's the other aspect of the theme of the changing, which is really, really cool with the themes and the plugins, is that probably most of you have no experience with something called A/B testing. But here's the basic theory behind A/B testing. You work really hard, you launch a site, you've spent time site mapping it, writing the content, taking the images, doing the videos, doing everything else, storyboarding it, you went through development, you went through testing, and finally the day comes and you launch the site. And then it's expected to sort of just sit there. You may update a blog or you may update a calendar, but otherwise the site kind of sits there. And either it works or it doesn't work. And that's the unfortunate part, because if it doesn't work, what do you do at that point? Do you start over? A/B testing is sort of the idea that you're going to test minute little elements on the website to see if you can make them work better. So for instance, if you have a donate button and it says donate, what would happen if for a week you just wrote on here, save the whales instead on the red button? Would it make people click more often? What if you moved the donate button from the right-hand side to the left-hand side? What if you used a picture, let's totally change the cute puppy, right? It's time. What if you used a picture of a different cute puppy instead, right? How would that change things? A/B testing is like a concept so far beyond most nonprofits, but it's a really important aspect of usability in contemporary websites. So by changing the theme, by changing plugins, things like that, you have the ability to really alter these minute aspects and do some even just very basic common sense level A/B testing. Because again, it's all about getting the money, right? So if you can find a better path to get the money, that's really what's important. Okay, I think we're coming to the end, so we really just want to... Cute puppy. Oh, okay, this is my cute puppy. This is Lucy the Wonder Doberman. And this is why we moved to the beach, because she loves sand. Isn't she just like awesome? This was unfortunately taken from about 1.5 miles away, because she's also petrified of cameras.
Is that a bikini?
Bikini? Give me a break. It's a waterproof halter. What are you talking about? Okay, so this is the part where hopefully I convinced you all of absolutely all of this, and we played what I like to call Stump the Redhead. If you have any questions about if you have any questions about why WordPress wouldn't work for you, stop me, because seriously, I bet WordPress will work for you. If you have any questions about, well, you just look resolute, seriously. You're like, I'm on it. Yeah, okay. But here, you do not know the prize for challenging me, right? There has to be a prize. So I split my time between Cape Cod and Phoenix. It's a pretty miserable life. And haven't anybody ever been to a cranberry float before? Okay, it's a pretty awesome thing. I live on a bog now. I used to live down the street from my favorite bars. Now I live on a bog. So after they clean the bog out and they ship everything off to Ocean Spray, they let people like me, who are frankly morons, go and do something called gleaning, and you go in and you pick the cranberries by hand. Yeah, you got to do it once, then you never ever want to do it again. 2 bags of cranberries. Your Thanksgiving will be all the more sweeter if you can stump that redhead. Go for it, sir.
I use WordPress already. So is there a plugin for WordPress that automatically, every time you publish, distributes bookmarks to all the different social bookmarking sites on your app?
There is, and actually, let me think of, there are probably like, I don't know, 80.
Not ones that actually have.
No, I know you're not talking about share this. You're talking about I created a post and now I want it to stream out.
Automatically. So you're getting backlinks.
I have been using a service that just changed names. So I've been using a service called Tweet Later, which would sound like it's just for Twitter, but it's actually not. And you can set it up to stream in your blog, and it will automatically stream to social networking services. And it just changed names to something yet even lamer than that. What is it? Social Loop, right? Totally lamer. Whatever. Two of us. God, I can't believe I knew that. All right, so sorry. Looks like it's for the can for you. What may I do for you, ma'am?
It's not a challenge. It's actually WordPress or something I know about accessibility. If anybody ever gets the Joomla WordPress comparison, a lot of the templates for Joomla, not so much for the latest version of Joomla, but generally they're not Section 508 compliant. They're table-based, and even the way Joomla spits out its content is not.
Did everyone hear that? Joomla sucks. Did that pretty much sum it up? Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? You with the loud shirt.
And by the way, I'm with you on the puppies because I'm.
Oh no, that is the last puppy.
American Rottweiler Club.
Dude, I'm all.
Rottweilers.
I like everybody was at Woodstock, everybody was at Katrina, month and a half in a field rescuing Rottweilers. Just saying.
Okay. So,
No, really not all wow. But there is a really adorable picture of me sitting next to a dog that I nicknamed Sasquatch, whose head is bigger than mine.
yes. So if anybody wants to rescue Rottweilers, you can do it. Or stand-up routines, so which leads me to ask, you should be doing like stand-up.
Believe it or not, people employ me for like actual like stuff. But if that doesn't work, like
There you go.
sadly, can you believe this? I have a degree in ceramics.
All right.
Really? Nobody for the cranberries? Come on! I need a challenge. I have 2 bags of cranberries. Okay.
Using WordPress multi-user.
Oh, God, please don't ask me
I'm
that.
telling you.
All right, here, just have the cranberries. I got another one. Anybody want to ask me about Buddy Press?
What's your Twitter?
Yeah. Okay, the sanitized one is at Howling Zoe. And the other one is you can ask me later. Oh, wrong computer. No, wait. Oh, there we go. Okay, see, that's me at Howling Zoe. And actually, I will say this. So I do teach classes. I teach integrated marketing classes with 2 women who are not as awesome, but pretty awesome. And no, they're pretty cool. And so we teach at areyouhomesociallyacceptable.com. And at this link, the delicious link, I pretty much retweet anything I find interesting related to all of this content. All right. No, you don't want to do that. They're not good. You want to cook them with something sugary. Although just do it because it'll be funny to watch.
I like salad.
Somewhere. Was that in the bathroom? Okay. All right. Anything else? Yes.
The C-Forms 2 that you mentioned
Right.
before, is that something you can use with setting up a Google or PayPal checkout button?
They're totally different, and I don't think I've seen any integration. I mean, look, everything on the web is possible. It just depends how much money you have. I assume since you're in this session, you have none.
About A/B testing.
Yes.
How do you separate whether or not the change you've made to the site and that the change in the results you get from your site is a result of the changes you made on the site, whether you change the puppy pictures or whatever?
Okay. At the level that we're talking about, you're going to apply a common sense filter. You want to make minute changes, and every study we've done shows you want to make them for a short amount of time, like a week or 2, and then judge the results. Now, obviously, if you're at isavepuppies.com and somewhere in the middle CNN runs a story about you, that's going to throw off your A/B testing. But if it's, the middle of February, 2 random weeks, and nothing extraordinary has happened, you get a pretty good idea of the difference between the 2 weeks based on, the difference in the buttons or whatever it is. And again, they're small things. I mean, it has to be something quantitative. I mean, I just love using words like metric and monetization, but you need to run a metric, basically. Something where, it's a small thing, so you can actually go, okay, 8 people clicked on this when it said donate now, but 20 people clicked on it when it said save this whale.
You can also do A/B testing.
Oh, shut up.
Well, seriously, which compares your AV results to a variable off your original game. So that helps you.
That is actually accurate. Yeah, I don't like it.
Do you have any suggestions on the maintenance side on scheduling posts?
Sure. I actually run a fabulous class called How to Blog, because I actually believe that you can teach most people how to blog and what they should blog about in the content. Because actually the questions that I generally get from places once I set them up is, what do I write about? How often do I write about it? And does anybody really give a rat's ass? It depends on your mission. I mean, I'm a big fan of creating a publication plan, just like you would for like a magazine or something like that. Like, here's a good example. Working on a blog for iPhone now from their CFO. And we're talking about how we're going to create like an editorial schedule, basically, you know, to back room of, you know, iPhone. So we're going to do one every week from the CEO, and then once a week we're going to have like a guest blogger come in from some remote place that he's blogging from, Tasmania or something like that. And then there's going to be a third one from someone at the office talking about things going on at the office. So, you know, we have these 3 things every week. I don't think it's as simple as you want to say blog once a week, blog once a month. I think it's also not as simple as blog when you have something interesting to say, because frankly, no blogs would exist then, right? So I think it's a matter of creating a plan, and then within those blog posts or pages, whatever they're going to be, I think you also have to learn how to write with a call to action, which is really important, how to write short, concise posts, how to write, I mean, look, writing blog posts is like writing magazine articles. Some people are good at it and some people suck at it, but you can learn to be better at it. Dude, I learned to draw. It's totally possible. I mean, honestly, when I tell people learn how to blog, I give them a copy of Cosmopolitan magazine, and I'm not joking, because they have it down. The lists, the short lists, the numbered things, the headlines. I mean, think in terms of, you know, what is somebody looking for when they go looking for your nonprofit? What answer can you solve? I'm a big, you know, I like white paper posts where it's like, one of my clients does, you know, handwriting analysis for kids with handwriting issues, and, you know, like, what are those parents looking for that you can answer? What are the problems, you know? Okay, no more cranberries for you.
Setting up advertising on a not-for-profit WordPress site.
So you're a whore. I'm just kidding.
Some of the people I help
Right.
like to make some incremental revenue.
Okay.
So
How's that working out, by the way?
incrementally.
Yes. Okay. Good word.
But one of the issues that they sometimes have is restrictions on certain kinds of for-profit,
yeah.
you know, purely commercial advertising. So do you have ways around?
Here's my advice. If somebody's going to buy something on your website, it's going to be your donate button. Get the advertising off there. Honestly, that's my impression. People have a certain amount of money to spend, and you want them on there. A website to me is very, very simple, and here, people pay me really not very much money at all to tell you this. So on here you have this side, you have your constituent groups, right? And your constituent groups are your, I can't even write, so I'm just going to talk. You have like your volunteers, your staff, your partners, your donors, your recipients, your clients, right? Those are constituent groups, right? Flowchart. On this side, you have a success point for every single one of these groups. What do you want volunteers to do? What's considered a success point on your website?
Volunteering.
Volunteering. What's considered a success point? I don't know what, like, God. A success point for donors. Donate. What's considered a success point for clients? Get the help. Contact you. Really. Put them on this side, put the success points on this side, and then look at this path. Imagine that I was sitting in front of you and trying to get you in person to that path. If I was just going to say it concisely. You want to call out for each one of those people on the front page. You want a path to take them to that success point, and no pictures of cute puppies is what I usually say, although, you know, whatever. But very seriously, there's no room for anything else on your website. Your point is to serve a purpose and get the money. I know that sounds very, very harsh, but if I see anybody from a nonprofit disagree, I'd be shocked. Yes, ma'am, you in the back.
Going back to your mention of magazines.
Yes.
We have a bi-monthly magazine, 16 pages, a number of articles. Does it or does it not make sense to republish those and its own line?
Excellent idea. Let me tell you something that I can't stand.
I can't finish the words, but
Okay. Well, no. This drives me. I'm batshit crazy. I hate people who say, click on this link to read our newsletter, and it's in a PDF form on the website. Don't. Like, take those articles, make them post within WordPress. tag everything in them. Put them up there under the news category so that people are actually engaged into reading them. And what you don't do in your newsletter is at the bottom of each one of them say, after you have this article about Harry the whale at the bottom, after Harry died, his mate was wandering in the ocean. If you'd like to donate to save Harry's mate, click here, a call to action. So, did that answer it?
It did.
I'm awesome.
That's the one I wanted.
Okay. Anybody else?
Is there an easy way to convert PDFs to posts?
No. I mean, the easy way is to copy and paste the text, or if it's a non-PDF PDF, if it's like an image PDF, you can use a PDF reader, which the OCR, what is it, optical.
There's free OCR.com which will extract the text out of a PDF.
What she said. Plus, I just like her shirt, so I'm giving her the cranberries. Anybody else?
Do you make any recommendations for nonprofits who are dealing with a print and web workflow and how to manage that?
Stop the print part? No, okay. Here's my favorite thing. And look, I love magazines. Dude, it's good money and I love to design them. But here's the problem that I have with like major nonprofits is they have direct mail, and I assume you're either talking about newsletter, direct mail, that department. And that department lives on the first floor in the corner, and tech lives on the third floor in the other corner, and never the twain shall meet. And that's a really big problem. They need to work together. So number one is move them into the same room and have a deep, long talk about the death of print and the cost of printing and the cost of postage, and try to find better ways. I mean, we're talking about lead dev here in the end, right? So you need to find good ways to not harass your leads and reach out to them in the most appropriate manner. If they're over 55, it's not going to be through email or online, but you can segment your leads to deal with them in a more appropriate manner. If they're younger, you deal with them online. If they're, what's the word that's opposite of young? If they're that, you send them an email, or you send them a newsletter.
May I share? We just stopped publishing a major item once a year and published it on Issue, ISOC-NY, which is free, in beautiful magazine format. You can get the link in WordPress and you go right to it. And at the same time, allow people to order one copy at a time at magicloud.com.
Ma'am, that story is so beautiful, I want to cry. Really, that's a success story. Anybody else? Questions?
I have questions.
Yes. If you talk louder, it's totally going to eclipse the hand raising. So.
Do you know any? Right now, I have clients, and we have the WordPress, but then we tie them into like eye contact or something like that. Is there any plugin or
wait, say it one more time. You.
Eye contact.
Right.
Anything like that? Is there any type of plugin? I mean, because all I really
there are
want
plugins that do, yeah, there are plugins that do
CRM.
Well, you might have a great answer to that, but I will be completely honest with you. I've yet to see a great CRM within WordPress. I myself am a big advocate of high-rise for no financial gain whatsoever. I just happen to enjoy it. Did anybody have a great CRM in WordPress?
They're building one. They had a presentation on it.
So I wasn't in that. Rollo Press. Oh, that's right. I met that guy last night. Yeah. There was alcohol involved. I totally don't remember, but it sounded cool. Yes.
I manage a website that right now has the.
Not looking at me. I can't throw things at you.
Spread across different social marketing places.
Okay.
And they're upgrading their website. We're wondering if we should be importing all that content. We're finding a way to search that content instead of piling on more work for us.
I think what you have to do in this situation is really pull out the scales of justice and figure out exactly, is it too much work to be worthwhile? There probably isn't a really, I mean, it depends on maybe it's in an RSS and you could use something like a feed WordPress to pull it in, which is another plugin. But even that seems really messy and over convoluted. So, I mean, you have to decide what are your archives worth. And if it's not worth the time and pain and whatever, then it's probably just, start fresh. It's a new day.
I'll say that in the first presentation today, Tierra and WNET, they talked about having written something in Python that would actually go through a bunch of websites' content, strip out, and just take the data and then make it ready just to import. So, what I say is I shot video of it, and it will be up there on the WordCamp website.
By the way, anybody here think that Python is something other than a snake? Does anybody here know what Python is? Okay, that's impressive. But yes, I'm sure there are. I mean, look, WordPress is sort of like the iPhone, which I also do not enjoy. I'm sure there's an app for that. I mean, you just have to find it. You know, I mean, you just have to find it. And you know what I generally say about plugins and functionality is that, okay, we can toss it to somebody else. Is that, you know, you have to test them, you have to try them out. I mean, I run into problems all the time with plugins not working with each other. Yeah. And then, you know, if you change your theme, man, are you screwed? So, yeah. So, I mean, think about all these things. I mean, what I always advise my clients is don't make any of your core functionality rely on plugins. It's not a good idea. Because WordPress is updating so quickly, I think that plugin developers are having a hard time keeping up, and sometimes they just give up, too. Yeah. So, I mean, at any given time, I tend to find that either WordPress or the plugins are a little bit outdated. I really haven't had massive problems quite yet with anything not really working here and there, but just bad juju making core functionality rely on plugins. You, tall man in the back.
I wanted to ask something in the realm of maintenance and how nonprofits work with developers. I know recently there was on DreamHost the all-in-one SEO plugin. It's a really popular plugin.
Right.
DreamHost is like, well, we're not going to support this plugin anymore, and like, I don't know.
What day of the week is it? I mean, there's all-in-one, there's platinum, there's always something out there.
So there was, you know, in any case, you know, I had about like 15 or 20 sites like go offline, and then companies, you know, my clients are calling me saying, hey, get my site back online. And I said, well, you know, you should have me on a retainer or something.
So did everybody hear that? He got screwed by DreamHost.
I don't like DreamHost.
Okay. So DreamHost.
You know what? This is a sharing session. Really? Does anybody else not like somebody? Now it's time to get it out. No. Here's where. By the way, you can't say me. I mean, I've evolved to the point where, as much as I would love for all of my clients to grow wings on their own and become successful little WordPress birds, updating and whatever, frankly, most of them just don't have time. And, you know, so what I've sort of evolved, not necessarily with nonprofits, is rather than a web maintenance plan, you know, for a very small sum of money, I'll just keep you up to date on the plugins and things like that. Because actually, I have to say, although I know one-click installer is really popular, with plugins, I've found it works okay. When you're updating the core engine, I've sometimes had issues, and most of the developers that I talk to will say, FTP it up, don't use the one-click install. If there's anyone from Automatic, I'm sorry, I didn't even say it. But yeah, you know, I think it's worthwhile for nonprofits to pay, for companies to pay a small sum, and I really do mean small, to keep their website up to date and from their developer. Did that answer that?
Yep.
Awesome. Anybody else?
You just said something. I mean, that's something inside me that I hadn't done before. I run an online magazine.
Please don't tell me you're gay. This doesn't seem the appropriate.
We'll tell you about that later.
Okay. So see you at Happy Hour?
Nonprofit magazine.
Okay. And what nonprofit magazine?
Women's Voices for Change.org, guys.
Okay.
See,
I'm nice.
Supporting visibility for women over 40. And it's just heard that we have our you know, donate button very carefully placed in the 61K. But I'm wondering suddenly about when you said the thing about tell a story then mark it underneath.
Right.
Did we have something on the bottom of each post? Because if people like that spread posts on Facebook or whatever and they don't necessarily go to the main site, they have some sort of a donation opportunity.
Well, it would be awesome if you do something like Excerpt, or like the RSS feed for that, or something like that. I mean,
so our audience is over 60. You know, they're not necessarily going to go.
They're not only not on Facebook. Actually,
they are actually.
We had a very funny conversation, my parents and I, and it went something like this: "Is Twitter and Facebook that I hear? What is that? It's porn. It's online porn, and it will affect you." And anytime somebody sends you an invite from any of them, you should hit delete as soon as possible. They're not on there. I wouldn't worry about it.
They are actually.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are these Facebook adept seniors?
Here.
Probably, I think we're getting kicked out relatively soon. Does anybody have like the question that's just going to like really like impress me or make us all laugh?
I just want clarification.
Sure.
I mean,
Clarification is not going to make us laugh.
I'm not as smart as everyone else.
Are we done? Are you kicking me out?
No, I'm not kicking you out.
Oh, okay, forget it.
You said don't rely on plugins for core functionality.
Okay,
Can you define WordPress functionality a little bit?
From me? Oh, you're laughing. laughing too loud.
Just remember there are other classes going on in this area, so you can try to be fine.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, everybody.
I'm just passing along the message.
No, I appreciate it. No more funny, please. All right, the question was how, it's everybody else in the room that's really jealous, right? Okay, the question was define core functionality when I just said please don't let core functionality rely on plugins. Okay, I'm working, core functionality is if it were to stop working, your blog wouldn't be foobar.
How am I supposed to know?
Well, when you come to your blog in this big white page,
How am I supposed to know that before the fact?
Okay, no. Okay, so like something that sits in your sidebar, your donate button, if your donate button breaks, that's a big problem. So you probably don't want to use a plugin for that. If, you're using one of these...
What do you use?
Yeah.
What do you use?
You can just pull code directly from PayPal and bring it in, paste it into your post. If you go to like...
Text widget.
Yeah. Something like that. I mean, let me put it this way: if you're having core, right? If you're having core functionality rely on plugins, I would at least that's when I would be looking at things like stars, ratings, how many people are using it. I would visit that page and see how contemporary it looks. And
so use a widget.
Well, no, a widget is a plugin. Is a widget is a plugin. It's all the same thing. But my point is this: is that the plugins sometimes do not update with the frequency with which they like. Sometimes developers go, Right, user beware is exactly right. So, I mean, if Feed WordPress stops working tomorrow, a lot of my sites are in trouble, because that's how it brings in content. If PayPal goes down tomorrow, many of my clients are totally screwed. So, I mean, you want to try to think of ways to avoid, here's my favorite point when clients come to me and say, I have this really cool idea, and I'm like, do $5,000 because we can't have this conversation otherwise. Because it's like, well, what if we got this to work with this, or can you make this happen with this? Keep it simple, stupid. That's my best advice. It was just lovely seeing you all again. I hope to see you all this time next year, and please Twitter about the experience profusely, because they generally don't let me speak in front of crowds for exactly this reason.